Alright, so hear me out. When I first heard the Steelers trading George Pickens to the Cowboys, I thought it was totally idiotic. The Steelers' offense is already in a bad position and they just made themselves weaker. It's not like they had that many people on offense that can move the ball, so you would think they would try to hold on to every single person that they can, especially George Pickens, who was the best player on that side of the ball, besides from DK Metcalf, of course. With a bad offensive line that they haven't addressed during the offseason, I don't think they signed one during free agent nor drafted one, which would translate into a bad run game, even though I do think Jaylen Warren is a pretty good back. Not to mention that their quarterback room is still up in the air. They out here still waiting for Aaron Rodgers, who still hasn't made up his mind if he still wants to play or not. At this point, you really can't help but to wonder if they actually trying to tank for next year's draft the way how they building out this roster, which really wouldn't be all that bad at this point if they trying to get a top tier quarterback next year, because Lord knows they need it. Now, like I said, I don't think this trade is all that bad, even though a third round pick for George Pickens is kind of head scratching. Let's be real, bro is definitely talented, so I don't see why they couldn't at least get a second round pick out of that trade, which on paper clearly makes the Cowboys the winners of this trade. Now, if it's truly the character concerns that is the main reasoning to why the Steelers made this trade, then this might turn out to be a different story in the future. Now, this should be already widely known, but to the people who don't know, George Pickens is a hothead, to say it nicely. Bro is definitely a D1 crash out, and he wear his emotion on his sleeve when he out there on the field, which can pose to be a great thing if he's actually getting the ball, because players like him can definitely be a momentum shift during the game. However, the other side of the coin is if he's not getting the ball and if you feel like he's not involved in the game, those same emotions can backfire and it can cause distractions on the sideline. Now, with that being said, if you've been keeping up with the Steelers for like the past decade, you know that they had players that came in that locker room that were troublemakers, like Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson were all questionable players when it came to character concerns in that Steelers locker room. And the one thing that all those players have in common is that they got the boot from the Steelers. And more times than not, it seemed like it was the correct decision by the Steelers as well, because eventually those same players end up flaming out at the NFL due to those same character concerns. So I guess the Steelers have a knack for pinpointing that, leading them to say, hey, let's go ahead and trade them before this blow up in our face. Now, I'll say this, George Pickens is definitely one of my favorite players in the league right now, and it's mainly due to the fact on how he played the game. His personality definitely make it more interesting to keep up with him. So I'm actually rooting for him. I hope he don't go down that same route of those players that I named earlier. But with how things are shaping out right now, you can't help but to think history is repeating itself. But hey, I think this is a really good trade for the Cowboys, even if it is for the current time. George Pickens is in the final year of his contract, so I don't know if they will re-sign him, but that's mainly due to the fact that the Cowboys have other players that they need to worry about on re-signing. If George Pickens have a great season, I can definitely see them bringing him back, but at that point, his cap number will be higher because he will be demanding more money if he do have a great season. But we can talk about that in a future video dealing with the Cowboys. Like I said, this is one of those trades that we're going to have to wait and see what was the correct choice at the end of the day. But hey, good luck to George Pickens. It'll definitely be interesting seeing him playing with the star on the side of his helmet. But say, let me know what you think. Do you think this was a good trade by the Steelers, or you think this was a terrible trade by the Steelers? Like I said, I think the Steelers at this point is just like, hey, let's just go ahead and scrap this and just prepare for next season, get draft compensation, and maybe get one of those top tier quarterbacks in next year's draft. So maybe that's their whole objective right now. But look, if you liked the video and agree with me, go ahead and leave it a like. It'd be much appreciated. And go ahead and subscribe as well, because I got more videos coming down the pipeline. The plan is to go over all 32 teams and see how the roster is constructed, and then make some predictions on seeing how the season might shape out. So there's a lot of videos to come, and I don't want you to miss out on them. So I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Peace.